This is not why we broke up at all. It's not even something that I came to the conclusion of and was like, you know what, after dating a woman for a year, now I don't see my future with a woman. Because right now I'm only interested in women. Today I'm only interested in women. I'm bisexual. I don't care about the old-fashioned way of having babies anymore. I literally don't give a
Adolescence was not a bullying works both ways cautionary tale, and I'm really concerned about anyone who thinks it was.
Nicole Kidman says she had real orgasms while shooting this movie. And I completely understand why. This movie was wild. Scenes was crazy.
What's up, bitches? Welcome back to another episode of So Wet, So Dry. I'm one of your hosts, Fiji like the island, like the water. I fucking hate pollen, and I work in social media and marketing.
And I'm your other host, Autumn, like the season. I am currently obsessed with Wordle from the New York Times, and I work in entertainment. This week, we are doing another one of our monthly episodes where we kind of just talk about what's happening right now, things that don't make the cut for a deep dive in the normal episode, but we kind of just want to digest what's happened this month.
Yes, and we're going to start our monthly recap episode as we always do, talking about what we're wet and dry about in this very moment. So I'll go first. I'm so wet because I feel like I actually am kind of stepping into my power now. Like,
really?
Yes, I do. Because I decided to be sober again, guys. I know this is like a back and forth. Like, I won't shut the fuck up about it, but I'm
not drinking either.
Okay, yes.
I'm not drinking
April sober.
Yeah.
And my other friends are like considering it. Like, I texted the group chat for accountability. They're considering it. I started doing The Artist's Way, like the book, and I've been doing my morning pages the past like 2 days.
Nice.
Okay, so we're like on it. I just feel like a fresh wave of like motivation, like inspiration, and I feel like it's like being sober, it's The Artist's Way, it's both, but I'm stepping into it.
Yeah,
you know?
That's so crazy, dude, because honestly, I feel like that too.
Yeah,
like I
it's
feel
the
like
eclipse.
Yeah, I feel like I've had like this new like boost of confidence and like just feel like I'm like ready or whatever. And like I'm so wet because like this week I did like 2 social things back to back. Like went outside in my heels, and like I know that sounds like okay whatever, but like for me that's a big deal. Like it really is. And like I like put my phone away, like do not disturb, like was just like present with like the individuals that like want to spend time with me IRL. Like I don't know, like it just, I saw a friend that I haven't seen in a really long time, and like I just love those friendships where it's like we're not like weird, like oh my god you haven't hit me up in 6 months, like no, it's always gonna be the same. And then the other thing I've been wet about is I'm just like orgasming a lot, and like that's really cool. Like I definitely, the celibacy is over. That's over, for bitch. Fucking sure, bitch. So yeah, I'm wet about that.
Okay, and I'm so dry, guys. Lame as fuck. But I'm dry about allergy season, the eclipse. Like, as much as I'm, like, stepping into my power now, I feel, like, lethargic as fuck lately. Part of it was being hungover. It's the pollen blanket that is covering the vicinity. It's depression. It could be my new meds. Who knows?
Can't even go on your porch.
Right. I can't even go on my fucking porch. But I'm tired. I feel a little bit better the last, like, 2 days. But still, it's just, like, taking me a long time to, like, get up and get active. Right. And I don't like that. So.
I know, but it makes sense because it's never all going to be perfect. Like, you're having creative inspiration, but you're, like being lethargic.
Physically
like, I
tired.
get it.
Yeah.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I feel like for me, like, I'm just so dry, like, about, like, clothes and my style right now. Like, I'm really going through it, bitch. Like, I hate everything I own. And I even, like, went to Goodwill yesterday, bought a shirt, and I was like... And, like, it was,
one
like,
shirt? You only bought
know,
one?
like, and I'm just, like, I don't have the patience. And there was this pair of jeans, like, because, bitch, like, now it's, like, low-rise is in again. I literally, like, feel like high-rise jeans are, like, so out. It's not even funny. And, like, I honestly, like, don't really love how I look in them anymore either. But I'm, like, am I just, like, brainwashed by the trends? Because I used to love those jeans, but now I'm like, I have to, like, I want like low-rise jeans
or mid-rise
with a little bit of flair, with like a cute belt, but a shirt that's not cropped, like a tank top that's like flowy, maybe. I don't know. So
I love the mid-rise, low-rise. I like more because the way that my body is shaped, like high-rise never flattered me. So I was lit
Now
when this
I'm
trend
thinking,
started.
like, I don't think it, like, flattered me either. Like,
but
now
it
I'm
didn't
just, like,
matter.
confused.
It was the trend back then.
I know. But yeah, I'm just like, fuck. But I have been making like style mood boards. But I'm honestly at the point where I want to literally get rid of everything and like start over.
Do it. I feel you though with Goodwill being like exhausting and slow.
But
like,
it's
you just
worth
have to,
it. They have stuff.
Because every time I go, I spend like $100 but leave with like 18 fucking items. Like, it's so lit.
So anyways, it's just hard. If you guys have any tips on like how to like get into your own style that's not like a BuzzFeed quiz, like let me know because I've definitely taken those.
Yeah, TikTok helps a lot. All right, so the first thing that I want to talk about, guys, is female desire and female sexuality is trending in the media right now. So I know I'm a little bit late to the fucking party, but the movie Babygirl, have you seen it?
No, but I know exactly what it is. Like when you put it on your story and we're like asking the community, I was like, oh shit, yeah,
right. Essentially, the plot of the movie: you have Nicole Kidman. She's high up in this automation firm. She's like a CEO. She has the hot husband. She has the pretty daughters, the nice house, like whatever. She is not sexually fulfilled. Her husband has never made her come in the 19 years that they have been together. So this young man, an intern, starts at the company. On his first day, she sees him tame a dog. Turns her on. Cannot stop fantasizing.
You've been turned on by shit about
yes.
When people put your dog.
God. When people put, like, bro, why is that so sexy?
Because it's dominance.
Yes. And there's this scene. So anyway, she starts this like affair with this young guy, and the intern, and the whole thing is back and forth. Is like, does she want it? Does she not? And then they eventually have to have a conversation about consent. And like, are they actually participating in this, or is it just like, because she acts like she doesn't want it when she really, really, really wants it. And it's weird with roles of power because she's in a role of power, he's in a role of submission. But like, you know what I'm saying?
Like, yeah.
But there's this one scene where they're at this like work party, and he like sends a glass of milk to her table. Mm-hmm. And then they just like make eye contact, and she like chugs the milk because he's like ordering her to like do it. Like it's like a very like dom sub situation. And then there's another scene where he like has like a candy, and she has to like walk on all fours to get that. I thought it was hot as fuck. I was like, am I into dog play?
Wait. Okay, no, I will say, I do feel like the leash and collar is like something I'm really into, and like, is that like
yes. And there was a scene where she had to go in the corner too because that reminded me of your shit. But it's very much like, and it's cute because in the beginning, like when they're first trying it, like he has this premonition that she wants to be ordered around and told what to do when like no one else in her life would really like think that, and because her husband isn't getting that
of power, and she's like always
and she can't communicate this need to her husband, like she's always in control. So the first time he like does it, they meet in this hotel room, he's like low-key laughing, and it's like cute. Because he's like, he isn't really sure what to do. And then like, she's like just hiding and like uncomfortable and like nervous. And then he eventually calls her like baby girl. And she very much like acts like a baby girl when she's in this like submissive like vibe.
Right. She's like,
Right. But so anyway, I watched this YouTube video essay by Mina Legg.
Wait, that's crazy though. That's like really hot.
Yes. You need to watch the movie. Honestly, like the movie was underwhelming because I didn't believe that this would happen in real life as much. Like the like pacing of it was a little bit off.
And the suspense of disbelief is what you talked about last week in Nostalgia, where you were like, I'm not getting that.
I'm not fucking getting that. And I was sitting there watching it, and I'm like, is it the pandemic that like people forgot how to socialize, so they forgot how to write a script? Like I don't understand why it's just too like, there's no buildup. And this movie, it has a buildup like sexually, but it's not like enough.
Got it.
But anyway, so I watched this YouTube video essay by Mina Legg called "Is Hollywood Sexy Again?" And she talks about Babygirl. She also talks about Anora, which I really, really want to see. And then I think
it would trigger us though.
I think it would too, but in a like nostalgic, romanticized
because that was the Grammy
way.
winner, right?
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe.
Oh, not Grammy. Shut up, guys. Oscars.
Oscar?
I know. No, it won. Yeah.
Oh shit! I need to see it.
Then
That's next on my list, honestly. But anyway, and I think she also maybe she did. She talked about Challengers, the tennis movie, which I did see as well. But then I also watched Khadijah, who we love on this channel podcast. We love Khadijah. She talked about Sabrina Carpenter and how people are freaking out about her sexuality. So it's not just Hollywood. It's also pop music because, Sabrina does the sexual position. She talks about horniness. And I'll let you talk about her female desire, her sexuality.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that is like very much her thing right now. And it's like she always, like she said in interviews, like everyone thinks I'm like unusually horny, but like I'm just like the normal amount of horny.
Yes.
Like, you know what I mean? And like I do think it's like, and because her latest one, like she's on tour in Europe now. And when she was in like France, she like her sex position in that song that she does was like Eiffel Tower, where like one guy was like hitting it from the back and she was like sucking the other guy like bent over. And I think it's really empowering, like because she is also like a straight woman, like in a way. Like I don't know, like
bi, isn't she?
No, she's not, dude. I think she's really not. I don't think so.
Doesn't she have like campy things about like kissing, like the Jenna Ortega music video?
Yeah, but like I don't want to believe it. It'd be too good to be true. But
maybe
I don't know.
She wouldn't date a woman, but she like sexually, I don't know.
Yeah. Because I feel like, I don't know, and like especially in like the pop music genre, it's like singing about like female pleasure and like emphasizing that, like in a world where like a lot of like straight couples, like they don't like emphasize female pleasure.
Yes.
Like the one guy I was with, my pleasure was never I mean, like sometimes it wasn't like the worst, but like,
but they're so clueless. And that's kind of the thing in Babygirl too, because it's like at the end, so it's a female director, and like what Mina Lay was talking about in her YouTube video essay is that it's like important that in the end, Rumi, that's her name in the movie, Nicole Kidman, gets to stay with her husband, because it's like the idea that like your deepest desires, your darkest desires, like sexually, like can be out in the open, and then you can still get like your happy ending, because she's not necessarily like in love with this like younger dude.
Right, like it was more just like of this like sort of fantasy, but like she also cheated, no?
Right, exactly. So there's this scene at the end where like her husband like finds out, like she tells him like whatever. She was like, I have these sick desires, like I have these sick fantasies. Like she just calls them so sick and like twisted or whatever.
Even
like,
though they're not that sick.
They're not that sick and twisted. Like she's just like something needs to be at stake, whatever. And he gets so pissed off, and he's just like, but like you needed to jeopardize like our children and our relationship for these like these fantasies and desires, like almost like why wouldn't you just like tell me? But the thing is that she kind of had to. So anyway, then there's a scene later with the intern guy, Nicole Kidman, and her husband, and the intern guy and her husband like fight, and then they're all sitting there after with like ice packs on, and the husband is like, what the fuck is this? Like female masochism is just a men's like a myth. It's not real. It's just a male fantasy. And then the intern guy is like, no, like it is real. Oh, like your wife does have these desires, and like it's nothing like wrong. And then he like breaks down like sobbing, and then eventually like kind of takes accountability for like his like ignorance in their sex life, and like not really like paying attention to what she wants or like making sure that she's pleased, because she would always go masturbate after they fucked. Like she would go run in the other room.
I know that
watch
feeling.
Porn. Yes, same. Like, or when you're laying in bed with them and you low-key roll over and you're trying to like bust one out real quick. Like I have definitely fucking done that, because it's like, bro, like you came and you started snoring.
No, literally. It's like, then he would like fall asleep and I'm like just by myself, and then I would just masturbate. And
Yes. And my ex got mad at me for that before, because I had to go in another room. But I'm like, I think it's good when women make it known, because it's like and a lot of women struggle with this like loveless, sexless, orgasmless relationship that has a lot of like love and intimacy in other ways, but like they have these like primal desires to be dominated or to dominate even, that they like can't have fulfilled, because their husband almost looks at them as like this perfect person or like not sexy in that way.
And it's like I like want like to be able to like have those like sick and twisted desires like with my partner, and like also like you know, like that's what I want. But it like sucks because exactly it's like she had to go elsewhere to like fulfill that, because she didn't even probably feel safe like bringing that up to her husband, because it's also like, is he gonna like slut shame her for wanting to be like treated this way? Like all
he
of a
was
sudden,
like weirded out. Like there was one
Right.
scene where she put the pillow over her face and she just wanted him to touch her, where she was just laying still, and he was like, I feel like
bro,
a
is
creep.
she me? Like what's
Literally.
going on?
But that's what I'm saying. Like I feel like these types of desires that women have are like very common, because
And like we've been like shaming ourselves forever.
Literally all the same, because it's all about control and like how women are like, you know, oppressed in society, like violence against us, all of those types of things. Because it's like I feel like it's so hard for men to comprehend, because like watching that movie, if you don't have the background knowledge and the fantasies and the kinks of like this situation, you're watching it like, what the fuck? Like she's a sexual predator when she's like not, because like he's very much like in it, like too, he has like agency or whatever. But it's like, you know, like, oh, like we want men to be sexist to us. Like we want men to order us around, like da-da-da. But it's like inside kink, again, it is completely fucking different. And I did like how the movie at the end, like when her and her husband are having like this sex scene, and it's showing like the intern guy with a dog, and it's playing this like cool music. And it's almost like he was this like spiritual catalyst for them to like work it out. Like it was like, you know what I'm saying? Like I
do feel like it's like men always like demonize women like extra hard for like cheating, like, oh, you're a hoe, like you had to go like get fucked in a crazy way. But I think like from what you're saying, like it sounds like the movie was able to like show that situation, but like in a new light, with like new insight that like includes kink and like not having your own like female pleasure like centered. And I totally get the relation to Sabrina Carpenter, because like she's trying to like center female pleasure like so fucking hard. And again, like I feel like queer women have been doing that, but when it's like a straight woman, it's just like, okay, yeah, like y'all are the ones that need to like get that together.
And I was thinking about,
and I
it
say
too,
myself
with these
in that.
two examples, because they're both straight, very white, very like expected to be like prim, proper, like their look is like perfect Americana or perfect like CEO. Like, you know what I'm saying? And
I do.
It's a different type of like societal pressure on them that they need to like release and let loose. Like how black women are over sexualized and white women are like under sexualized. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And there's also like an age thing too. Like with her character, it's like she wasn't like an 18-year-old wanting to go. Like she was like a mid, like, you know, middle-aged woman. Which like their female pleasure is definitely not centered different. Even more because like of the whole like, you know, men only want young, fresh-looking pussies or whatever.
Yeah. And the last thing I want to talk about this before we move on, I did ask like just my Instagram followers if anyone had any fucking
so happy.
thoughts.
I should have done that.
And I was like, is this cheating? I don't know. But someone said, without a contract, this kind of sadism only leads to insecurity. Film still hasn't gotten it. And I do think that this is right because, again, like I said, there was this whole back and forth between like consent, not consent. And then he finally had a conversation with her and he was like, I cannot continue to do this. Like, I'm going to not work for you unless you say that you want this. But even as he was saying, like, say that you want this, he was like touching her. And like, it is that like messy situation of like how to make consent sexy and how to make this like contract thing, like this sadism contract that we're talking about, like sexy. And I don't know. That's why I feel like I want it to just be implied. But like a lot of their push and pull, I like can't. Like it takes me out of it so bad.
I know, babe, but that's why I'm telling you, it should be like a different day, like not like right before.
Yeah.
But and like nothing like that crazy either. But like I get it. Like recently, like a new kink that I've discovered is like someone like making me cry and then like fucking me after.
Okay.
Like, not like I'm crying like about something real. Like, they're like being mean and like I cry because they're being mean.
Okay, I
like
think I
in
have
bed.
a kink about like someone fucking me while I'm crying.
Yeah. Oh, me too.
Like while I'm so sad, but they're like.
And when I've watched
me.
porn videos like that, I like literally wanted to die after. Those
really?
are like horrible porn videos. But anyways,
I haven't seen.
Yeah, this is great, dude. Like, you have the straight shit in here. You have the female pleasure. You have kink. Like, I really want to watch this movie, and I think you should. You guys should watch it too. So for my first topic, I am going to be talking about Becca Moore and Shannon Beveridge. If you guys don't know, both queer women, both content creators. Shannon Beveridge has been in the game for a lot longer. Like, she's 33 years old. Like, I used to very much like idolize her, have this like parasocial relationship with her really, really hard, like in high school and in college. And like, I've always still like thought she was hot. But let me tell you, bitch, that shit's over. Like, that shit is so far over.
God.
And I basically listened to Becca Moore's like most recent podcast episode.
You listened to the whole thing?
The whole thing, bitch.
Okay, because I just watched the clips. Okay.
Okay, that's fine. No, yeah, I listened to the whole thing and took notes, and I also watched their tragic breakup video.
I watched that one,
which was just like really hard to watch. Like, I felt really bad for Becca, and like, I'll be honest,
it's worse now knowing.
Yeah.
Because even then, I was like, it did not seem like a normal expression of emotion. Becca was a wreck, and Shannon was like,
want to hang out later?
Yeah.
She said that then, so like, are we hanging out later? Like, joking? I'm like, bro, her heart is like broken. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, and I know, like, we're not there. We don't know them. But like, I will say, like, Becca's latest podcast episode was one of the most emotionally mature and emotionally aware things I've seen on the internet in a very long time.
I love her.
Bro, but I'm not even sexualizing her like for once. I literally sexualize everyone. I know it's okay. For once it should be you because I need to calm down. I'm literally no better than a man. I say that all the time.
Yeah, but you don't like her. She's not your type as much.
She's not my type, but like, I would definitely kiss her. Like, she's fucking stunning.
She's
like,
so
hello.
hot.
But it was just like, I don't know. And I do think like when Shannon and Becca first started dating, like, I'll be honest, like, I have internalized like biphobia.
Yeah.
As like I do. And I'm like, she's not really like,
no,
whatever.
I thought the same thing.
She looks like a Barbie princess. Like, I was like projecting onto her because like, and I guess like, you know, in a weird way, it's like, she is like, to me, she like represents like that Americana. She is like Sabrina Carpenter.
Yeah, blonde,
like, she's
white.
literally like airbrushed perfect.
And
it's like insane.
She's very open about the fact that she's had work done. She's had her boobs
right.
done.
I know. And
like
her
that.
personality is like fucking fantastic.
I
like,
love
and
her
it's like,
personality.
But I do think like I was like clouded by like what society, it's like we're like conditioned to like hate women that look like that.
Yeah.
Because they like have it all.
Yeah, because you
and,
didn't
like,
really watch her content. You found out.
No,
about
I didn't
her.
even know who she was.
Yeah, I had watched
because she would
her
talk
before.
about guys and like I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, that's stupid. But anyways,
yeah.
I want to like apologize, like like she's watching, but like I really was at first. I was like, I don't know about this.
I
like,
thought the same. No, when their breakup happened, I was honestly like very upset and like kind of didn't like her anymore. Like, or I was sad because I thought I couldn't like her anymore. Because not gonna lie, when she came out and she was dating Shannon, it just made her cooler because I already liked her, and she was gay now. Yeah. But then when they broke up, I was like, oh, like she just did this for publicity because she started her podcast, and then they were milking it so much in the episodes and stuff that I was like, I thought she was the bad guy. Like, I was like, she's just dipping her toe into queer culture and then running off, which is even so
because
fucked.
That's how it looked.
Exactly, and that's why how it fucked for Shannon because she knew.
Yeah, and you know what's even more fucked is that after that episode was recorded, this episode where basically Becca and Shannon talked about the reason they broke up was because Becca didn't want to have like kids. Yeah. And people started demonizing her, like Becca doesn't want a queer family. She was never really queer. Like, and she even said, like, I get it. Like, I get why people had that reaction because, like, the comments, you see something online, she was like, I get it. Like, she's, like, so, like, I don't know.
I love her.
She really is, like, top tier bitch. Like,
yes.
I mean, like, we'll never really know, but, like, like, that episode anyways. But what's most fucked up is after they recorded that breakup episode, she said to Shannon, I don't think I want to put this out anymore. She didn't show it to her own manager, but she showed it to Shannon's team, and they were all like, boom, it's perfect. A+. That video was fantastic. They edited it great, whatever.
It's so much worse now
And she asked 2 of her best friends, and she showed them the episode, and they both said, Becca, do not put that on the internet. And she didn't listen to them because Shannon was like, don't, like, take that with a grain of salt. Like, you should just put it out, and then we're going to do a part 2 on my podcast and blah, blah, blah. Like, crazy.
It's almost like Shannon manipulated the whole, because Shannon helped her with her podcast and everything, too.
Dude, watch that episode. It, like, breaks my heart, but I, like, see myself a lot in her, like, in what she was talking about. But basically, it's like, so Shannon said one thing to her at the beginning, and she was like, my friends are worried that, like, if we break up, you're going to post, like, TikToks about me, like, talking shit about me.
Because that's her, like, whole thing, kind of.
But still, I think that's, like, a little bit weird thing to say. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And so ever since that, Becca was like, okay, like, I need to be, like, a worthy partner. And there's this whole thing about being a perfect, easy girlfriend. And about, like, minimizing yourself and, like, not being your full self to, like, fit seamlessly into that other person's life, not fuck up their life at all, just add to it. And, like, when I was with my ex-boyfriend, that was me to a T. Like, honestly, maybe with everyone I've been with, like,
same.
I have that problem. And so when she was talking about that, I was like, oh my God. And she kept saying, like, Shannon, like, seemed so much older and wiser. Like, she had been in, like, 4 however many, like, long-term queer relationships. She's been on the internet since, like, 2012. Like, she's been here forever. And Becca was like, I felt so insecure. Like, I feel like I'm a baby gay. I feel like I'm a baby TikToker. Like, I feel like I don't know what I'm, like, doing. And, like, Becca talked a lot about, like, she was, like, being avoidant. And, like, Shannon would call her out for that. Like, she would shove her feelings down, and then they would just explode. Me, bitch. Me, bitch. Me, core. And she talked about the, and then Shannon would be like, if you aren't able to, like, get over these things, then, like, we can't date. And Becca said, like, an iconic quote where she was like, if you communicating causes you to lose someone, that person was never yours. And I personally struggle with that. If I'm going to, like, share this feeling, like, they're going to leave, it's going to freak them out. Like, I relate to her so hard. I was getting, like, really emotional. And Shannon would always say things to her like, oh, I can tell you want to break up with me. Don't worry. We don't have to tell the internet right away if we break up. Just, like, out of nowhere. And Becca would be like, I don't want to break up. Like, when did I ever say that? Like, and it was just, like, in all of the, like, baby gay stuff, like, she was just, like, she felt unequipped to, like, be in a queer relationship. And it just makes me so sad because, like, if you're going to, like, enter a relationship, like, with someone that's never been in a queer relationship, like, you should take that into consideration. Like, it's not going to be perfect. And, like, no one should feel like they're unequipped in their first queer relationship. Like, I mean, you can feel like that, but your partner should reassure you
your
that, like,
partner should be the last
like,
person making
all
you
queer
feel
relationships
that way.
are different. There's no one way to do it. And, like, why didn't, and Shannon would literally be like, yeah, like, I think, like, a big flaw is that, like, you haven't been in any long-term relationships. And there was, like, this huge power dynamic of, like, her being so older and wiser and Becca feeling like she was super small. And essentially how they broke up, like, after that breakup video was released, they stayed together for, like, a month later, but it was, like, messy. Like, they were on the outs, they could tell. And Becca said, like, one of the last times she saw Shannon, they were, like, holding each other, saying how much they loved each other. And, like, Shannon was about to, like, leave on this trip, but they never officially broke up. And, like, she just, like, they were, like, you know, on the outs, but it wasn't like we're over. Like, there has been no closure. Then Shannon went on that trip. Becca didn't hear from her for 22 days.
That's crazy.
22 days she ghosted. And then Becca got robbed. like at her home, like ended up seeing Shannon, and Shannon said, I'm sorry I didn't text you. I didn't think about it. And then too much time had went by and it felt weird to reach out to you. And Becca said she knew that they were over officially when Shannon just like casually referred to her as her ex-girlfriend, when like they never even actually broke up. And then the real kicker is when whatever, like Becca ended up leaving a letter for Shannon. And in the letter, she said something, and I've like said this too before. It's like when you're like going through a breakup and you're in a lot of pain, you want to try to appreciate, well, I'm in this much pain because I'm capable of so much love and I loved this person so much. And like, that's a beautiful thing. That's why I'm in pain. And that's what was in the letter. And then Shannon like posted a TikTok or something or advice about breakup and said that verbatim. And Becca was like, you can ghost me, like you can do all this shit, but she's like, plagiarism is where I draw the motherfucking line.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, bitch. And like, I don't know. I just think like at the end of the day, like all relationships can be really toxic, but like this was like this broke my heart for her.
Yeah.
And I just think like nothing she went through was fair. And she just talked about always being like so afraid to like speak up about how she feels. And I do think that a little bit of that falls on ourselves and we owe it to ourselves to like learn how to do that. It's not always like completely the other person's fault. Like you need to be able to speak up for yourself and share and communicate with whoever, teacher, therapist, friend, partner, family, anyone. Like that's like a skill, but like it really sounds to me like Shannon made that like really impossible for her to do. And Becca was just scared of losing her the whole time. And like, I don't know. Like, I just think justice for Becca. Like, this is just crazy.
Yeah.
And I literally, you guys, like, I've followed Shannon on Instagram since like 2014. And like, I literally unfollowed her.
She's being
like, I'm
canceled
not
right now.
around,
Everyone
dude.
in the comments was like, are we witnessing the cancellation of
Shannon?
Shannon
And I don't
Beveridge?
think Becca even wanted to cancel Shannon.
No.
Do you know how many times
She
in that
just
video she said,
she was
I
being
loved
attacked.
her.
She was being attacked like so hard.
And that's not fair.
One of the things that I love that Becca said and that made me have so much like more respect for her and like is so real. And she was like, this is my first queer relationship. If it was a man that had done this, I would be talking about this. Like, why would I not? Like, it would be almost weirder if she didn't, just because it's a one. And I feel that because, like, I don't know why I feel the, like, obligation. Like, I had made out with a girl recently, like, out, and I'm, like, I ended up ghosting her. But like I felt bad doing that because she's a woman versus with a guy.
You do that to
I
men
wouldn't
all the time.
Right. It's like the same thing.
No,
you know what
I
I'm saying?
feel that.
Yeah.
Like we like love women. Like,
right, because we don't want to hurt women's feelings, but it's the same
but
when
men
it's like
are
romantic.
disposable. Like that's sad.
Right. It's a little bit sad.
But we're
yeah,
working
bro.
on it. Yeah,
this
it's
shit
just
is
crazy. And like I have a friend recently that like came out from like lesbian to bisexual, and like I've done that as well. And like I just think like with the whole hating on Becca and saying like running with like she doesn't want a queer family, like she's not really gay. It's like I think our society has like a shit ton of biphobia that like we don't even like realize how bad it is.
Yes.
And it's not even straight people. It's lesbians. It's in the queer community. And like me and my friend were talking about this so much that it's like honestly, it's like humiliating to say you're bisexual to a group of lesbians.
Oh my God. Or queer people in general. Yeah. Because it's like, it's like one, don't be bi, be pan at least, which like, I feel like it's like technically I'm probably pan because like it doesn't.
I use those interchangeably, but like I get it.
Right. But like exactly like say you're bi around a group of queer, which I have a lot of queer friends, guys, and a lot of them don't believe in bisexual people. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I feel that shit, but I also want to respect them because the bi experience is, in a lot of ways, a lot easier than the queer experience because we can rest on the privilege of, like, like, you know what I'm saying? But
even if I was a lesbian, I could still rest on that privilege because I look straight as fuck.
Right.
You know? So it's
But I think it's also, like, for me, I've noticed with the queer friends that I have, I think a lot of the bi hate is because, like, people are in the closet and people are, like, being bi and choosing to be heterosexual when they're really queer and then breaking queer people's hearts a lot too. I've seen a lot of that, and like that's fucked up. So a lot of it is like personal, like hurt,
which
you know?
makes sense. I mean, like we talked about the other day, like everyone, it's like their own perspective, and that's how they're gonna project. Like but it just makes no sense to me because like I would say like everyone's like a little bit bi. Like I do think some people are 100% one thing, but like most people aren't. Like I do think there's like, so I just like don't get it, and I wish we could get to a better place.
Same.
We're working on it.
All right, so my last thing that we're going to talk about is Adolescence, the show, guys, and we are going to give spoilers. We would be remiss to not talk about this show with everything that we've spoken about on this podcast.
Bro, the way that I was watching it, and I was like, they said like incel, manosphere. I looked in my room, I go, so wet, so dry. Literally.
I was like, because I had heard about it on a podcast first. I had heard about it on ICYMI. And I had watched it, guys. Like, I had started watching it, fallen asleep watching it, was like, this show is slow and boring. So slow. And then I listened to a podcast that was like, this new show covering the manosphere. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, what? Because that is right up our fucking alley. Anyway, if you guys don't know, the whole show, 4 episodes shot in one take each of them, which is making this a masterpiece. They're saying that it's the best show. It's going to be up for awards. It's as good, if not better, than Baby Reindeer, which I beg to differ.
Because one take is absolutely
insane.
One of the most difficult things to do. And also, as a viewer, once you know that it's one take, you can't not think about that.
You appreciate it more.
At least for us that like went to film school.
Yeah.
All I can focus on is the goddamn
when the drone,
angle.
Everyone keeps talking about the fucking drone. Like when they latch it onto the drone and like jumping out the window and chasing people down. Like it's crazy. And it reminds me a lot more of like a theater, like a play or something like that versus a movie because of the way the camera's going. Like it is a piece of art, but I will say Baby Reindeer is fucking better. I'm sorry.
100%
just
better.
like, it's just the emotions that were in there, the complexities of the story. And again, I don't know if I'm just jaded. I listened to 2 other podcasts about it. I listened to ICYMI, I listened to crime writers on True Crime Review and the Prestige TV podcast just to hear what they had to say about it.
Right.
And I was consistently kind of pissed off and irritated how many people don't know what an incel or the manosphere is. Like apparently like we are very niche, I guess. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like there is so much coming out of this, which I think is a good thing, and talking about like men's issues, young boys, like this problem. But I'm also like, all right, guys, like this problem has been around for a few years now, and we're just now discovering it because of like a Netflix show. Like, cool, but also the show was not engaging enough for the average person who is not like a film critic, like in how slow it was. I'm like, is it really even engaging or doing what it's supposed to do? Yes, I think it's talking about the issue, but like, I don't know. And then the other part in that I do want to say is that I'm glad that we're talking about men's issues. And I've seen people on TikTok, a lot of people, this is the first time since this fucking show has come out. Like, can you guys tell I'm pissed off because me and Autumn have been like covering this for so long? But the first time that I've seen a lot of the feminists and a lot of the like women who talk about women's issues talk about men's issues was with this show. And I think a lot of the takes were really good, you know, like how misogyny is a huge problem, like blah, blah, blah. But like I also did see a good amount of takes that were like, why aren't we focusing on Katie, you know, the girl who was killed in this show? Why are we focusing on him? Like, da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, once again, like,
because we have to get to the root of the problem of why Katie is now no longer with us.
Right.
And we can't like save Katie without saving these young boys.
Because it's like we've already done the like feminism uplift Katie, make Katie confident. But it wasn't enough. Despite the misogyny and her pictures getting passed around the school and like da-da-da. You can uplift Katie to the end of the fucking earth. None of that shit matters if Jamie is becoming a misogynistic murderer over here. Like, guys, like, I'm just like, I don't know. So a lot of the discourse I just feel like is like ages behind. But it's happening.
That is exactly something I would say at age 20. I would be like, why are we talking about, like, and a lot of people are just still there.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm, like, not, like, fully no, I am, though. I'm like, no, because it's, like, actually fucking essential. Like, we really do need to talk about it.
Yeah. It's all part of the same conversation, though. It's not like let's talk about the problem with the boys to ignore the problem with the women. Like, the episode with the best friend, I think, served that purpose because of how angry she was. And, like, she was saying, like, you know, you're erasing her, you're doing all of this because it's like, you are in a way. And I liked how they had, like, even though he's an incel, he's kind of like an attractive young white boy, like, you know what I'm saying? And then, like, the way that they all thought he was good and didn't do it, and like, and that also irritated me. And listening to the podcast episodes about it, they're like, did he do it? Did he not do it? I knew from the second the show fucking started he did it. Duh. Why would we be watching the show if he didn't
like
do it?
Someone that would.
Right.
Like, to me, it's clear. No, I get it. And I just, like, I think, like, the show is going to serve its own purpose. But I think what's really important is how people are reacting to it. And, like, what people are talking about on TikToks and podcasts. And, like you're saying, it's, like, this is, like, somewhat new to them. Which is, like, telling. So it's, like, as much as it's sad, it's, like, well, okay. Like, that's where we're at.
Well, and it makes me feel better about us and what we're doing. Because sometimes, like, us being in the niche that we're in and, like, even...
And Fiji asked ChatGPT to describe our audience. And, like... They said the word niche
with
like
you guys
565 times.
And I don't think we are niche because sometimes I think we're covering topics that it's like people we look up to have already covered. Like, we're taking a new spin on it, like, whatever. But I'm like, oh, we're not that niche. But then I listen to some shit like this and I'm like...
And you're like...
Okay, all right, we're doing important work, I guess.
And it's like a lot of the, like, women empowerment creators... don't talk about young boys. And
they think the male loneliness epidemic and all of that is like a joke.
Like they deserve it. And I used to think it was a joke too.
It's like look, the way the patriarchy
really not.
Is it? Do I believe that to a certain degree a lot of boys have to pull themselves up by their bootstraps and get the fuck over it? Like, yes, I still believe that in a lot of senses. And like, and you see that with like Jamie, and even listening to the podcast, like how they were like developing such deep empathy for him, like in the therapy session, and they were like, you know, like he just wants
deep empathy for him in the therapy session.
He just wants to be like loved, like he just wants to be like
his dad and like all this shit.
I think I was just annoyed because I feel like I've been at this point. Like, I don't think anything in this show was groundbreaking in terms of thought leadership to me, because I've already had all of these thoughts. But like, yes.
But for the
exactly.
What's it called? Gen pop? For the general public?
Like, yeah, exactly. Because it's like, what drives a 13-year-old boy to commit murder? He's still a 13-year-old boy that comes from a good family and like all this stuff. Like, he's still a human being. I don't know. But yeah, guys, I'm happy people are talking about it, but I'm overall like, I wish I was as hype as everyone who has never heard about this shit before is, but I just fear that we're too late. And this is the piece of media that is coming out of this huge problem in society is also a little bit too snobby. Right. And that also upsets me, but I don't know. But I did ask you guys on my Instagram story if you had any thoughts, and some people just said, great acting, so crazy, I got to watch it again. And someone said trash, I was so disappointed, which I feel like sums it up with the different views. But I think it's interesting, like we talked about female desire earlier, I think this is a lot about male rage.
Right.
And like the male rage that comes from like not being chosen or not being like validated. And that is a serious problem in society that we've talked about and that is like happening right now. And, you know, I don't know. Like, I think the one thing that's interesting to think about is like how much this incel culture, red pill ideology is part of like 13-year-old like slang and like discourse and all of that. I mean, we knew that because of like looks maxing and like even like some of those like skibbity words like
But you don't realize how bad it is unless you're in the middle school like listening to those boys, like, talk about it, because it's like, I remember like being young and like men saying like crazy shit, but like it's so much worse
remember
now.
when we were younger, it was like, shut up, bitch, go make me a sandwich. That was like the phrase. That was like the misogyny and the sexism that was like really popular back then. But like now it's like 10 times fucking worse.
Right.
And I would like to talk to a 13-year-old. I think that was a lot of the takeaways too, is like, if you are a parent or you have 13-year-olds around you, like,
good luck
talk
to
to them. Like, you know what I'm saying?
But I just
like,
don't get
with
how
them.
people weren't like inclined to like look into incels with like Andrew Tate, because I feel like that was such like a monumental like thing, like that like is the
or when the
manosphere.
school shootings happened, like all of the incel shootings, like
exactly.
I just
all of the
don't,
domestic violence, like it's a lot. Like it's a huge
the internet forums. Like there's been so many other events that have happened, and like there's been discourse about even like 13-year-old boys like becoming more conservative and everything in schools and stuff like that. And in the manosphere with Trump, like
and I get what you're saying. It's like it's good that like they made this movie, because like this is something that needs to be talked about. But it's like that thing where it's like you like take in a piece of art that's like, you know, something like really serious, like even if it's like DV or eating disorders, and it just like, it like didn't fulfill you, and it just like feels wrong. It's like they were so close, but they like didn't get there. And it's like a lot of people watch like It Ends With Us and felt that, and like you didn't feel that. I didn't feel that either. Like I thought it did it. It's like everyone's gonna have
that
their own...
pissed people off. Like, and that's the thing. I feel like what pissed me off about like, and why I liked Baby Reindeer so much, is that Baby Reindeer was so like, and this show was too, it was so raw and it was so real, like at the end when the dad was crying. Yeah, the acting was good. The end, the dad was crying in the bed. Like it was so like, but I was just like, I feel like the thing that pissed me off and all the things that I was listening to about it was the fact that everyone was like, this is a shock. It was the story in itself that was sensational. Like the fact that a young boy would do this, that incels exist, that da-da-da-da.
And that's rage.
And that is the least sensational thing about it. Okay, the one take, and even the one take I think is an interesting artistic choice. The fact that they never showed Katie, I thought was a nice artistic choice, because it can like go to be like any woman, like any girl.
Katie represents,
she represents like all of them. Like there were a lot of artistic choices that I thought like were good, but like it was not Baby Reindeer. Like, I don't know. It just...
It wasn't. It didn't give that same feeling. I know. And I do kind of, like, want to watch it again. Like, I do feel like this is going to be, like, a huge piece of media, like, for a minute.
It will be.
But, again, it's hard to take in art, and you're just like... But again, it's also the commentary that comes after, like I was saying.
Yes!
It's like when you listen to other people talk about it, and you don't align with it, and it's, like, confusing because, like... How could you guys be so like, this is like textbook, like what it is.
Well, I think it's just like, I was excited because I'm like, oh, we're talking about incels, manosphere, da-da-da. People are joining the conversation, but they're joining the conversation so at such a basic and such a like late level that it's like, it makes me less hopeful that things are going to change because of like how long it, like, you know what I'm saying? It's just kind of like, I don't know. Versus like for me, Baby Reindeer was like more of a like light bulb moment, I guess, in my brain for trauma and stuff that I hadn't thought about. So maybe it was just like this is doing that for a lot of people, which is a good
Baby
thing.
Reindeer, I mean, the woman being the abuser.
Oh my God.
It's not
the complexity.
The complexity of the abuse that on textbook and to the police station would not be like. They're like, no, what's wrong with this? And like that is what people need to educate on so bad. I know.
Yes.
I will literally ride home about Baby Reindeer so hard.
Same.
Too, dude. Like that show is a work of art. So for our last mini topic here, we're gonna be covering why do we want to fuck monsters and not like abusers, shitty people, like actual monsters. I'm talking like Edward from Twilight, bitch, okay?
But
vampire,
he's like,
zombies.
They argued that he's a stalker. Like he's like...
No, like he's very monster-like.
Yeah.
They talked about him in this article, and this article was found by Fiji from Dazed. Why do we want to fuck monsters? And some examples are like Pennywise, Godzilla, Pinhead,
Godzilla,
Count Orlok,
Joker, the Joker. I want to fuck him.
I know Bro, he is definitely, and like, guys, I'll be honest, you know what I mean? Like, this could be embarrassing. I don't care. But like, when it comes to porn, right? Like, I've definitely there was a time in my life where I was like, cartoon porn is like pretty cool.
Hentai?
And it would be like, okay. Yeah. And there's like a wolf man with like an innocent girl.
Yes.
Like I don't know
Hot.
what to tell you guys. I'm sorry. But the article says, turns out there are actually self-professed monster fuckers everywhere. And the article proposed the questions like, where does this sexual attraction to monsters come from? And like, what's culturally and psychologically going on and at play here, which is like culturally, so
wait. Can I just, another one is, you know those memes with the wolf man with the abs and he's like holding the girl? I love those.
Yeah, you've used
I wanna
those.
fuck him.
I know what those are because of you.
Yes,
Yeah, no, the wolf, something about a wolf.
The wolf man, ooh,
is hot.
Wolf men, vampires.
Like Beauty and the Beast, bro, is actually literally this. Like,
yes.
The Beast is like so, and I like when I watch that movie,
his hair,
like the way he locks her in a dungeon. I'm like, what are we doing?
Lock
like,
me
this
up,
is
Zaddy.
Disney, like. Yeah, so that shit's crazy. But anyways, so our girl Sarah Lisa Anzaldúa is a monster theorist and assistant professor of philosophy at the California Institute of Integral Studies. And she kind of talks about this idea of like looking, you know, again, culturally into it. To be a monster is to be an other, quote unquote, something marginalized people know all too well. In this sort of familiarity.
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yep.
So, yeah, is something that she says consciously or subconsciously may be leading more and more women, queer and trans people into the world of monster loving. Okay. She says monster erotica can actually be this kind of healing psychic experience because it's not merely the shadows of the world we're dealing with. It's our own shadow as well. Perhaps it's no wonder that women and LGBTQ plus people are far more likely than cis het men to have this kind of sexual fantasy. So again, thinking about this fantasy like on a deeper level, like we do, like misunderstood kinks, like that's our shit. Yeah. And like this article's arguing that it's like, you know, monsters are, because even with the Beast, he's all embarrassed about himself.
Yeah.
And it's like they're othered, you know? And so it's like, it's just interesting. Like the part about like, it's not merely the shadows of the world we're dealing with. It's like the shadows of ourselves and like how kink is just like, you know?
It makes me think of like a lot of horror movies because you know how I'm like really obsessed with my whole crucifix, like religious right now. And like a lot of horror movies, I've listened to podcasts about this, are like manifestations of like sexual fantasies and sexual scenarios that are like demonized, and like the devil or the monster,
the article talks about that
is
too.
Like representing that like dark twisted fantasy that you have, kind of like how Nicole Kidman had in Babygirl or whatever, this like dark twisted whatever. And like, cause I feel like I've masturbated to like, oh my God, everyone's gonna think I'm like evil. Because they are though, because people are fine when we talk about werewolves and vampires and monsters, but you talk about the devil.
Oh yeah, you're right.
You're
right.
I've definitely had.
I mean, Satan is daddy. Like
right. Like when Doja Cat did her.
He does kind of scare me a little bit though. I'll lie. I mean, I'll be honest. I'll lie. Subconsciously, I'm like, no, I want him. Anyway.
No, but I've had some like twisted, like I think like monsters, but I think about like evil spirits. Not like I'm like picturing the 3-horned devil like fucking him, but like I definitely have masturbated thinking about like evil spirits consuming me.
Well, if people are gonna think you're evil for that, you have so much religious trauma, more than anyone I've ever met in my life. And like
that's surprising.
I mean, I don't really.
I don't have like that
you're
much
like
compared to.
Right,
I'm like your only formerly religious friend. So, because I'm like people in the South. like Southern Baptist evangelical, y'all have way worse than me. So mine's not even that bad. I want to holding space for you.
Right. I know. I just meant to say they shouldn't think you're evil. Like that obviously comes from something.
Right.
And even the article says like people eroticize their fears. So it's like as a child, you're fucking scared of the devil. You're going to class. They're like, you know, the devil, the sins, and then you're like, actually, I want to fuck
him
away.
And that's why I think I ended up being like more emo and goth is probably the religious upbringing and it being so like good, holy, and I'm like, no, let me be bad and
everything
evil.
Everything comes from somewhere,
right.
And someone else quoted in the article said, as a teenager, I remember being frightened of a monster known as the Rake. So my brain was like, the Rake? Yeah.
Okay.
And my brain was like, the Rake isn't scary. Like, he's your boyfriend. Like, meaning like eroticizing the fears. I don't know. Like, it's kind of
okay.
Like,
yeah. No, because I feel that with abuse. And that's why I'm like monsters and abusers because like I have fantasies.
I know because I was like, bro, like that's why I was like, yeah.
No, but I have fantasies about someone like attacking me and like kidnapping me or taking like I didn't used to have the kidnapping kink, like we talked about that in CNC, but now I kind of do, like the taking me like against my will from one place to another place, like on some Batman evil dude type shit. Like I definitely have that kink. Yeah,
no, I do too, 100%.
Right.
100%, dude. And it's like, I do think we eroticize our fears in that way too. Like I know I'm like terrified of like being assaulted and like actually being taken for real, being trafficked. Like these are all things I've thought about like as a past sex worker, like really hard.
Oh, and that trafficked too. Like definitely some like sugar baby. Definitely some sugar baby prostitute whore pimp.
Yeah, like have you guys seen the movie Taken? That's like my biggest fucking nightmare. My dad traumatized me.
Yeah, I remember you said that.
Before I went to Costa Rica with my
But you have kinks for it though now, right?
Hard, like so hard.
Yes.
Except I don't like the knife play. Do you like knife play?
I would do knife play, but I feel like it's also because I used to cut myself.
Yeah, I feel that.
So I'm like, you know.
Yeah, I got you. That's cute how you whispered it, babe. It's okay. Like, same. Like,
do I have to censor it and be like, my elf? Like, you know how they changed the letters? Anyway, go ahead.
And this sort of like kink for monsters is known as tetratophilia.
Okay.
I'll put it on the screen. But it's also like, again, we always talk about how like BDSM is like a big umbrella term. Like this sort of kink like is very in line with CNC, forced consent, mind control, being eaten, which I'm like, okay.
Devoured like the pussy?
Like, no, I think it's like for real.
Like cannibalism.
I think so, yeah. Which makes me
I like someone to nibble on me, but like I don't know about like
No,
eat.
dude.
Okay.
I mean, no kink shaming. I mean, I like someone to nibble on me too. Like I do feel like sometimes sex can be very like animalistic and it kind of feels like you want to maul each other.
Yes.
I like that.
I like
That's
that.
Cool.
The like breathing and the eating, yeah.
Yeah, the eating is a little bit much for me. And being hunted is like a huge part of this kink, like hunting down.
Okay. We like that. Predator. Yes, I like that.
And then the article has like a healthy thing that they say. It's like, let's just remember, guys, like these are just fantasies. At the end of the day, like BDSM is fantasy, like all that shit. And they also referenced ContraPoints, who we talked about, that you put me on to. And her name's Natalie Wynn, which I didn't know that was her actual name.
Oh, I didn't know either.
She said, fantasies are not literal wishes. Fantasies construct situations where emotional needs are met and inhibitions to pleasure are removed. So just remembering, you know, like.
Is that her Twilight video essay?
Yes.
I love that one. It is very similar to our dark romance one. I love that video essay. Yes.
And then lastly, the article says too, tetratophilia fantasies thrive on and fully operate within the world of the hunt, i.e. the imagined. And when it comes to fictional monsters, who can be violent, scary, and aggressive versus cishet men who can be violent, scary, and aggressive, the cognitive dissonance that a teratophilia fantasy requires, provides a much needed release and in some cases reclamation of sexual autonomy. So like, again, that whole sort of idea of like eroticizing like your biggest fear of like actually being kidnapped by a real person, man in real life, not like a fictional monster. It's like how we talked about like how CNC can be really empowering for sexual assault survivors and things like that. Not always, but it's like, it seems
because
like
it's rewriting it.
We talk about a damn kink that we've like felt so much shame about. Articles be like, it's actually healing.
It's
and
good for you. Because it's like when I think
not
about
for everyone, but if like it is.
Not for everyone, but like if you're doing it in a safe, like healthy way. Because it's like
into it.
Like when I think about the abusive scenarios that I've been in, that emotion when you're in experiencing trauma, completely different than the emotion of when you're in a fantasizing about some sort of abuse. There is pleasure. So it's like if you're switching those, you're replacing said trauma, fear, panic, anxiety with pleasure, excitement, like, you know.
And from a psychological point of view, it's like that's textbook. Like, of course that's going to help you. You're like rewiring your brain, like changing the experience. So yeah, I'm just like, that's definitely a common theme. But yeah, I mean, next time you're like fantasizing about maybe fucking a monster, like maybe think about this. And I also do think like, I feel like unlearning sexual shame is like obviously like a big part of like our podcast, because it's a big part of like what we're trying to do and like how we evolve as people. Like we're literally trying to do that like every single day.
Ourselves.
And I do think it's just like, you don't often hear people talk about like fetishizing monsters in like a positive way. And like, I just like want to provide that for people because I need that for myself and I need that as well. But that about does it for this episode, guys. We really hope you liked this episode. Please keep the conversation going. Comment below on YouTube or Spotify or DM us on Instagram at So Wet So Dry. The O's are always zeros. We post polls for every single episode that we put out. So please make sure you're following us on Instagram. We really, really, really would love it if you could vote in our polls every single week. And also please give us a star rating on platforms like Apple or Spotify if you want to. That would be literally amazing. You can follow us on those places as well.
Yes, and we also do have listener support. It's $9.99, $4.99, or 99 cents a month. It is in the bottom of the description of every single episode, no matter what platform you guys are listening on. And yeah, we love you guys so fucking much. We will catch you in the next episode. Bye.
You know how when you go through a breakup, you have that phase of being like, oh my God, I'm so independent. I love my life again. I'm super motivated. And then after a couple days, weeks, months, depending on how you are and how long it takes you, you start to look back and romanticize